One question to NEFID and the World Health Organization and to the government. General question, just a general question. Get very curious, because we have to wonder what the head lunatics, which means NEFID and the government ministers, what the heads of the lunatic asylum, are taking. And I was watching about the World Health Organization now a second ago, about the head of the World Health Organization, and he was saying after everybody's vaccinated, and it's very suspicious that everybody was still, people still have to be quarantined, etc., etc. And you're like, what's the point at the end of the day? What's the point in this quack? If if they're saying this is taking this vaccine or whatever, will be the end of the pandemic or whatever. He basically said himself, the head of the World Health Organization, it won't be the end. It'll be still the severe people. And the word is, and this is the mainstream media, or he should be doing a huge program about it. Why he used the word severe. Again, the too high in power in the World Health Organization, and especially in NEFID in the West of this country, the too high in power, they don't want to give up the powers, because we have to admit they have an extraordinary amount of powers now all of a sudden, which nobody seems like in the media to want to ask questions and say, would they be willing to give it up? Again, this is the questions we need to ask, especially when they're talking about, again, there's never, again, listen to this fellow in the World Health Organization. I was looking at what he said. People still have to be tested and isolated, and etc. 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 But where's the end? Where's the end? Where's the end of this pandemic? Where's the end? Where's the end? It's apparently never to be seen. It's just been always kicked down the road. Take the vaccine. Next thing will be like, take the boosters. Take the boosters. Keep taking the boosters. Take the boosters. Every day of the week you'll be told to take a booster. Which seems like it's the way it's going. To be totally honest with you, it's really the way it's going, because they're talking about with the times. And some people have talked about, some even government ministers in other countries have talked about lockdowns during Christmas time to protect their health services. And basically, this is going to be the cuts and just we ones and we ones and we ones and we ones and we ones. It's just going to be repeated over and over and over again. And this is not a conspiracy theory, and they've been talking about, and this is what I'm talking about, and especially the World Health Organization has said themselves. And NEFID haven't said, when's the end of it, because they said, if we get whole immunity and everything like that, etc., 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 we'd be able to do different things, we'd be able to do that. But they haven't said, if we can do that, we might be able to reopen around to that. They're just kind of just saying, come with us and we lead you down the garden path, and we'll bring you along the way. And I don't know, do I like that, to be honest with the government ministers. People who are corrupt to the core in this country. People like Micheál Martin, we have, Stephen Donnelly too. We have them people in charge. If you in charge, the one fellow wanted to come in with the black and tan, so if him as Tarnish are going to be Taoiseach, again, and he wanted to come in with the black and tans, and he's like, come with me down this road. God knows where we end up, but sure, look at, we're here now, I suppose. But again, even the World Economic Forum, again, the biggest, I've never seen such Nazis in all my life. The World Economic Forum, they're so, again, these people in the World Economic Forum, they get a great job in Hollywood or something like that. Hollywood has great interests in the World Economic Forum in the West. But again, they could go and work in Hollywood, be in the big movie, Batman versus fucking the fucking whatever you call these elites, let's put it that way. Get a good job, like they had a Klaus Schwab's, isn't it? He get a great job as a Bond film or something like that. And they make a new sequel, whatever, during lockdown, and everybody has to watch it. But again, I keep saying it. They say it originated in China, for example. Where's the push? Where's the push to get evidence and say, how did it start X, Y, and Z? Because we still don't know really. We're assuming that it came from a bat, right, or whatever. But where's the evidence? Where's this? And again, China, China just doesn't want to tell anybody anything. But again, we have to look at it too, because it is in the most oppressed country, in the most where information doesn't come freely. And again, obviously the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization, they get great funds from China. And it's funny how they're always very buddy with China. It's very suspicious that. Maybe the World Economic Forum will give us an answer how much China does pay to them, and what's in the account, what's in the private account from China. But again, I'm just conspiracy theorist, as they say. But again, it's funny how China has control over majority Africa and everything like that. It just goes to show you the influence in the Western world, in Africa and other countries too. It's not beyond them to influence the World Health Organization and other governments. The United Nations turns a blind eye anyway. Again, it's a question we need to ask too. Where did this virus, so-called virus, originated? Because we have to admit, it's not like the Spanish flu. It's not like any disease that we Black Death who ended that. It's not as severe. Going by what Leo said, and this is when I believed it would be as bad as he said. And again, I was stupid, to be totally honest, I was stupid to believe the government at that time, saying it was going to be as bad as it was. And again, I even said I was stupid, I should have used my brain a bit. Because he said to be 31,000 people, so much, 100,000 I think he said, be dead by the end of the year. They never materialised. But again, this is the thing, which led to a lot of fear and a lot of people falling in line without asking any questions. Which was myself too, I'll be totally honest with you, because I just fell in line. Because if you hear, again, you put trust, even though you hate the guts, the heads of government, you put a small bit of trust in them when things happened at a national crisis. And at that time, it just turned up out of the blue with the coronavirus. And we didn't have a clue what was about and what was the story. Now we have a better idea. But and it is, at the end of the day, it's not really about a virus. There probably is such virus somewhere, right? It is injuring people, it's killing people, right? We have to be totally honest. It's killing vulnerable people who are sick, people elderly. I believe that. But again, at the end of the day, it is kind of a flu. And again, with the Delta variant and looking at it, sniffers, coughs. What does that tell you? Like, seriously, sniffers and coughs. Even Boris Johnson, for example, said it on the M over in England. I was listening to him. He said it's just everybody who nearly gets it is either mild or middling symptoms, unless you particularly have fierce health underlying conditions or you're extremely elderly. And again, we need to ask these questions. We do really need to ask these questions and not be declared as anti-lockdown or whatever. Because they're genuine questions. I genuinely do want to know where this virus originated. I think we do deserve an answer where that originated. And I think we deserve an answer on why everybody in the country, like again, they're administering to under 18s at the moment in pharmacies in Ireland. We have to know too why. If we have to do this, if freedom can be achieved in the next few months, if freedom can be achieved in the next few years, or is it going to be a continuous cycle of lockdowns, of forcing people into their homes, keeping people? Because again, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is too much. The government ministers, government TDs, NEFIT, in other countries too, the health regulations or whatever government, have gone too high on power. Have really gone too high, and the power has gone to their head. And they don't want to release it, and they don't want to give up the power. Like here in Ireland, they haven't backed down. We see in Wembley Stadium tonight, England lost, unfortunately, but well done to England, well done to Italy, sorry. But again, we see hundreds of thousands there without wearing masks. If that was in this country, the girls would be going and battering people, just because they're enjoying themselves. And if it was the government ministers be not one around. I'm very suspicious I was never a girl around Clifton when the Golf Society was meeting. But anyway, these are the questions we need to ask, and it's something we have to ask. Thank you.